to Menopause Morph, your time to change. We're here to help you thrive through your menopause, bringing you experts in many fields to help you from perimenopause to menopause and beyond to become the strong, vibrant woman nature intended you to be. Hosted by Pauline McCarthy of the Pearls of Pauline, pearls of wisdom, compassion, and joy.
Hello, welcome to this week's Menopause Morph, your time to change. 2 weeks ago actually, because I had my blah blah last week, as you know, in between everybody's expert's opinion. So, 2 weeks ago we had the lovely Dana LaVoie, who was talking about Chinese medicine and acupuncture. And I had so many more questions to ask her, so she is back. Thank you for being here, Dana.
Hi, Pauline. I am thrilled to be back. I had so much fun talking with you, and I'm really looking forward to looking out for any questions that your listeners have. I'd love to jump in on the comments and answer them.
Okay, but first I'm going to tell them who you are in case they haven't heard the last episode from 2 weeks ago. So, Dana is an acupuncturist and herbalist and the founder of Menopause Basics. She's passionate about teaching other women how to find natural relief from seemingly uncontrollable weight gain, boiling hot flashes, soaking night sweats, mood swings. I mean, none of us go through all of those things, do we? No. And signs of aging on her site, danalavoie.com. I'm going to put that in the notes. Okay. So you don't have to just write it down when I'm saying it. Just copy the notes, folks. So Dana teaches and consults from her home base in Eugene, Oregon, where she hangs out with her Parker guitar, 2 papillons, which is not butterflies, but little butterfly-type dogs. I would love to see them. You have to send me a photograph of them.
I will.
And my dog is a cross between Border Collie and an Icelandic dog, and her name is Freya. And she's sitting outside the door right now, waiting for me. She just follows me everywhere. And she also lives there with her husband, Barry, who we've been hearing tinkering about in the background, I believe. Yes. Barry, you're going to get a smack. But we won't go into that. You know, this is a family-rated show. Okay, so last week we were talking about how Chinese medicine and acupuncture can help with menopausal symptoms. So what I'd like to ask you today is, in China and Japan, women, they know things that we don't because they don't seem to have as many symptoms as we do in the West. So could you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, I would love to. So in the Asian cultures, the women are raised with this understanding of the yin and the yang energies in their body, the fire and water energies in their body. And they know that during menopause, the yin energy just drops like a stone, and that's what creates the menopausal symptoms. And they know that there are things they can do to build that watery energy back up. There are foods they can eat, there are herbs they can take, and there are foods like cooling foods and moistening foods like pears and cucumbers and sesame seeds and certain kinds of seafood, and flax seeds are really good. And then there are herbs they can take, which they know what they are. It's something that they'll just literally have in the kitchen and put in the food that they're cooking with, or maybe take as an herbal tea or an herbal pill, that they're available all over the place, and they kind of know which herbs are for what. But the other thing that women in Japan know that we don't know a lot of the time, that I think is overlooked, is part of their culture is to practice exercise and stress relief on a regular basis, because in Asia, most women will meditate. Well, you see those movies sometimes of people in the parks in China in the morning, and there's like all these people out there doing their Tai Chi and Qigong exercise. Uh-huh. Yeah, like they do it. They consider it like brushing their teeth. It's part of what you do to stay healthy. It just is. And so they have some type of practice that is both physical exercise and active relaxation, like a meditation type practice. And that is really important because it really helps your body to balance out your stress hormones, which really helps your body balance out your menopausal hormones. So they have that built in. In addition to the diet, they have the relaxation. They tend to eat regular meals as well. They know that in Chinese medicine, if you want to stay healthy, they're not skipping meals. They're not skipping breakfast. They're not skipping lunch. They're eating on a regular basis. And this is really, really surprisingly helpful too, because what that does is it evens out your blood sugar, which evens out insulin, which is another gigantic hormone. So you even out your blood sugar hormones, you even out your stress hormones, and then you combine that with some of these herbs and foods, and wow, it's like, you're already 60% better. So, yeah.
I mean, because often when I talk to people about menopausal symptoms and we talk about, I wonder what it's like in Africa or Asia or somewhere like that. And many, many people have said to me, and I have just presumed it myself, is that because Asian women tend to eat a lot of soya, that it's the soya that's helping them. But this is the first time I've heard that it's all this exercise and even like cucumbers and sesame seeds. And it's like, what? Yeah.
They know all the foods that are cooling, that are moistening, and they just really include those in their diet all the time. Yeah, and it's that and the Qigong can be done specifically for menopausal symptoms. There's different types of Qigong and Tai Chi. Any type is good, but there's specific types that are even better. And soy is a phytoestrogen, so it does boost like estrogen and progesterone. That's basically what that watery yin energy is that drops. Those are like your estrogen and progesterone. So soy will boost those back up. But I really think that it's a lot more than just soy. And soy, soy in the West you have to be a little bit careful with it. I'll just mention that because while it can be a good food for menopause, you want to make sure that you get non-GMO soy. And that's really important, or it's not going to help your hormones. And also it is a common allergen and it's hard to digest. So if you get non-GMO soy that has been fermented in a form like natto, miso, or tempeh, it's going to be easier to assimilate than some other forms of soy. But if you're having tofu or soy milk, at least make sure that it's non-GMO.
Okay. And like here in Europe, most GMO stuff is banned. So we're very lucky.
Yeah.
And in America, is it labeled that it's GMO?
No, it is not labeled that it's GMO, unfortunately, which is why here we have to be really careful that it is labeled organic or labeled non-GMO, because otherwise about 80% of the time it is GMO with soy. I've
heard that nearly all the soy produced in the United States is GMO.
Yeah, it's almost all of it is. It is scary. Yeah. So I don't just say, go have soy, 3 times a day, because here in America, if you weren't careful, it would be GMO.
So women in the West, what is it specifically about some Chinese medicine? Like, of course, you're talking here about natural things, but I presume that the women there, that if they do get out of balance, then they go to a herbalist and they help them. So what kind of specific herbs would you recommend for women in the West? Is there a difference between a woman who's like extremely out of balance, like having crazy, crazy symptoms, and one who's just having a little symptoms? Would there be a big difference there?
Yeah, there would be a big difference there. I see it sort of like this. This is going to take me a couple minutes to make this analogy, and you can let me know if it makes sense.
Okay.
Your body has a system built into it to keep your hormones in balance, your endocrine system. If one of your hormones goes too high, a little message gets sent out, turn this one off. And if one of your hormones goes too low, a message gets sent out, turn this one on, make more of it. And your body is micromanaging your hormone levels all the time. And in a woman who is really healthy and who goes into menopause with all of her energy levels high, and that regulatory system is working really well, she's going to be one of those women who goes through menopause with very few symptoms. And there are women like that.
Oh, yes.
They have a little warm, tiny little dewy moment here and there. And that's once or twice they wake up in the middle of the night, a little bit hot. That's it, Well, to me, that's how it was meant to happen. Because if you go into menopause with enough fire energy and enough water energy, and your regulatory system is working really well, when one tries to go too low, your body goes, it has all the building block it needs to make more and to clear away a little heat. So it's constantly your body's trying to go, and your body keeps adjusting it. So you go through the change. Your energies go from here before menopause to a lower level after menopause. And the trick is to keep them even with each other while they change.
Oh, nice.
That's where you don't get a lot of symptoms. So the trick to that is having your energies replenished. Because if you go into menopause with your watery energy already low, and then when you hit menopause, it drops more. Now you've got such a big gap between your fire and your water that I can't even fit it on the screen. Mm-hmm. Your body's going to have a really hard time bringing those back in balance. Whereas if it's this much difference, your body can fix it.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can prepare for an easier menopause by replenishing your energies, especially your watery energies. Make sure you go into menopause with plenty of that. Also,
how would you do that? How would you do that?
Yeah, so you would do that there's a few things you would do. You would make sure that if you're having things like night sweats during PMS before you hit perimenopause, that can be a sign that your water energy has become depleted for some reason. It can be a side effect of medication. It can be genetic predisposition. It can be from burning the candle at both ends. But if you're having any signs of early aging or any of those heat signs, like little hot flashes or heat at night, prematurely, then those can be signs that your water energy might be low. Also, if you tend to be anemic or blood deficient in Chinese medicine, well, blood and watery energy are almost the same thing. So you want to make sure you have plenty of blood as well. That's part of your watery energy. So foods that feed the watery energy and feed the blood, and things that replenish your energy reserves. So learning to manage stress, because if you're stressed out all the time, it's like you're leaking energy. Make sure that you're sleeping well. Make sure that you're eating, whole foods regularly throughout the day. If you do tend to be really low in blood, then you would want to eat foods either like meat or iron-rich foods. Or in Chinese medicine, there are certain foods that feed the blood in particular, like longan fruit. Goji berries are a good one. Blackstrap molasses is a good one. Black sesame seeds are a good one. There's different, even pork in Chinese medicine is good.
And what about blood sausage and liver? Would that be?
Yeah. Yeah, especially for women who are deficient in blood.
Yeah.
Then yes, eating richer meat foods like that would be really helpful.
My mother used to always give us liver when we were having our periods.
Yeah, because it replenishes the blood that you're losing.
Yeah.
And I will say too, though, in terms of diet, as you go into menopause, it's good to have a diet where you want to make sure you get those rich meat proteins in there if you need them, but you want to have a good high percentage of fruits and vegetables in your diet as well, because they are by nature cooling. Many of them are moistening, and they really help your body with detoxification so that you can, if your hormones get out of balance, you want to make more of this one, you want to get rid of some of this one. You need to have that. We can get rid of extra hormones if we need to, working. And so having a lot of fruits and vegetables helps with that and is by nature cooling. So it's good to have that on board going into menopause so you don't get too hot. So, yeah.
Yeah. And what about after menopause? I'm 2 years postmenopausal. You're talking about burning the candle at both ends, which I tend to do, which I'm a fire. Come on, I'm a fire energy. And people might not believe this. Thursday night, I slept, maybe not so well because we had a storm that night. Iceland, we get a lot of storms in the winter. So, and the noise was keeping me awake. So I woke up, I was kind of tired. And then after breakfast, I had a headache. I almost never get headaches, and it was really bothering me, and I was wanting to do these grant applications, but I just couldn't focus. Actually, I started having flashing lights in front of my right eye, and I just thought, no, this is ridiculous. I'll never get any work done. I'm going to go for a nap. So I went up the stairs, and that must have been about 11 o'clock in the morning. I woke up at 9 o'clock at night, hungry, and I was too tired to even go down the stairs. I phoned my husband who's down the stairs and I said, can you make me something to eat? He was actually napping on the sofa. He's going, I'm tired, can you not just come and get yourself something? So I came down the stairs and I just had some maize crackers, corn ones with hummus. And I had 3 or 4 of them. And then I almost crawled back up the stairs and I slept to 11 o'clock the next day. So it's like 24 hours just sleeping.
Yep. Yeah. Well, In Chinese medicine, there's a branch of Chinese medicine from Taoism that's all about longevity. They want to like live a long time, but they also want to have a really high quality of life. So there's this theory in Chinese medicine that, you've got these energy reserves. It's like your battery pack. And that has a lot to do with your potential for your life. What is your life going to be? And if you burn out your energy reserves and then you're just kind of running on empty, you're not in as good a position. You just don't have that backup battery pack waiting for you. And so they do a lot of things in Chinese medicine to try to preserve that backup energy, like not being stressed out and eating good food at regular intervals, so that like every day you're taking in good fuel from your food and from breathing well that you can use for your activities that day. So when you get to the end of the day, you did enough to dig into your reserves. Because if, you don't eat anything all day, you're not making energy, you're taking it out of your reserves. If you work 20 hours a day, you're taking it out of your reserves. They like to have everything kind of in moderation and balanced. And at menopause, it's a time when, like I said, your energy starts out here, hopefully, if you're not depleted, and it ends up here. So your energies do decline a bit, both your fire and your water energy. And it's a great time to take some, after menopause, longevity tonics. Chinese medicine sees menopause as like a very much of a crossroads. There's two big crossroads in a woman's adult life. One is the time, this is from Chinese medicine perspective. One is the time after her first child is born. In China, after your first child is born, they basically like you to lie in bed for 30 days while your family and friends take care of your new baby, take care of your other kids, and feed you nourishing soups and stews and food while you lie in bed for 30 days. To replenish the energy you lost during the birth. Because then you are fully replenished and you're set up for good health from then until menopause. In menopause, it's another big crossroads, and you kind of choose if the next part of your life is going to be on this road or that road. It's a time of great opportunity, actually, because if you can get on that good, healthy road, it's going to be pretty easy to have good health in the years afterwards. So it really is an opportunity and a time where things can go either way. And that's why it's a really, really good time. It's also a time for a lot of women when maybe the kids are out of the house or they have a little more time that they're able to spend on themselves. So it's a really great time to get in the little better habits of healthy food and healthy lifestyle and really kind of get that established. And you can add things like superfoods and tonic, strengthening, adaptogenic herbs that are going to take what you're doing and really take it to the next level in terms of keeping your energy reserves full and giving you that extra kind of sparkle. So you don't feel like you're in a decline. You feel more like, wow, this is an exciting new chapter because I really feel great. And now I have all this time to do what I want to do. In Chinese medicine, it's called the second spring.
Yeah, the second spring. I'm going to write that down, second spring. It's something that I have thought about very greatly. Maybe about 10 years ago. Before that, I was very sick. I told you when I was pregnant with my first child, I had the acupuncture because I had rheumatoid arthritis. And I kind of bought into the belief of the Western doctor, who's a wonderful guy, but he told me this is an incurable disease and you will progressively get worse, and it could be your fingers will go like this and you might end up in a walking sticks or in a wheelchair. And I bought into that, I've got an incurable disease. And I declined really, really quickly until one day about 10 years ago, I woke up one morning and I thought, I want my life back. I was in my 40s and I was thinking, maybe I've got another 40 years left. And do I want to be an invalid? I don't want to live to be 90, but people have to take care of me and I can't open up my buttons or anything like that. And I decided, no, I'm going to get my life back. And I started doing some exercise and changing my diet and I lost 18 kilograms, threw away the walking sticks. But 56 now, and I'm thinking, I could have another 30, 40 years in me. And if I don't improve, because I'm still overweight, and I'm doing this program just now where I'm losing my belly fat. I've lost 9 centimeters in 2 months. I'm very happy.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. But I still feel that there is so much more. Like, as I was telling you, on Friday, I slept the whole day. And to me, that's a warning sign, like,
Yeah.
you're not doing something, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. That the reserves are not fully replenished, or that if a couple of extra things happen in your day, you just kind of feel overwhelmed instead of thinking, oh, cool. I've got a really good idea how to deal with that. It's like, no more.
Part of me knows, but my big struggle is exercise. It's like, to me, it's like anathema. It's like a torture. But I know that it's like what you were saying. When I lived in Malaysia, and even when I lived in London, you would go down Hyde Park and there'd be 20 or 30 of them going like this, doing their Tai Chi. And they look, they looked like they were 90, but they were more agile than I was.
Yeah.
And so before we had the interview, I was telling you, I used to do this Qigong. And at the time, when it was before I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, but I was beginning to get really, really strange and sick and lethargic. And I met a yogi, and he said to me, he says, I have a feeling that yogi is not for you. He says, but I've heard of this Qigong, and I really think that it would be for you. And he took me to this Qigong master. Actually, the guy had to hold my arm and help me into the place. I was that weak. And the Qigong master rubbed his hands together like this. And then he told me to sit down, and he put his hands over my head and down my shoulder. I could feel his presence next to I had my eyes closed, so I couldn't actually see what he was doing. But I had this feeling, and especially when it's in front of your eyes, it makes it go a bit darker and stuff. And I could feel him moving in different parts of my body. And when he got to my lower back, where I have this sacroiliac thing, now and again I still get it, so maybe I should go back to him. Anyway, when he got his hands there, I felt this incredible heat. It wasn't a burning heat. It was like a warm, cozy, lovely, fluffy kind of heat. It was like, whoa. And I really thought it was a lot of nonsense, really. But then when I felt that heat, I thought, whoa, something is happening here. And then when he finished and he says, how do you feel? And I stood up, and it was like, amazing. I was, how like you see these born again Christian, hallelujah, you've been saved. And I was like that. It was like, whoa. And then he said, okay, now I'm going to show you these exercises. And then I went home. I stayed up. I was cleaning the kitchen. And in the morning I thought, I have to go shopping. But I was waiting for the bus, and I thought, I'm so full of energy. I don't need to wait for this bus. And I walked to the supermarket, which was like 5 bus stops away. And I walked home with 2 big shopping bags full of shopping. Then about 6 o'clock at night, within seconds, I just suddenly went, ooh, and just, it was like my batteries had run out. To be honest, I was very naive at the time, and I said, that guy didn't know what he was doing, or maybe I was just hypnotized into believing it or something. So my friend took me back again the next night, and this guy, he was not happy with me, and he said, first of all, he was a bit angry, and then he said, well, maybe it was I didn't explain it to you. He said, I didn't cure you. He said, what I did was I gave you some of my energy to help you so that you would have energy to do the exercises. And he says, like, I gave you your monthly salary and you blew it in one day. And I went, right, oops. He said, now I'm going to do it again. And he did. And I felt the heat the same way. And he said, but he says, I will never do it again. He says, now you have it. And he said, for the next month, you will come. I think I went twice a week. He says, you'll come twice a week and you'll do the exercises and you'll build up your own chi, which is what I did, which was an incredible experience. Yeah. And nowadays I kick myself because I did it for about 3 or 4 years faithfully. And then I went to Bulgaria and I was caught up with work and I had nobody to do it with, and I stopped doing it, and now I can't remember it. But I firmly believe that if I had kept doing that all my life, my health would have been so much better. So now I need to find a Qigong expert in Iceland. There was one lady who did it, but then she left the country.
Yeah, or online.
Online, yes.
And that's the kidney energy, which you feel in your low back. That is your energy reserves. So when your energy reserves became depleted, you had low back pain, and that's where you felt it when he gave you the energy.
Wow.
And so Qigong is a way that you can build, and it's called the golden stove there in the center of your body, just in front of your low back, right? Like he stoked your golden stove and you felt that warmth, right? Yeah. And that's such a good feeling to have your energy reserves filled up. And you can do that with Qigong exercises. You can do it with herbs, absolutely. And you can do it with other types of, like getting the right kind of rest and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely key to good health is having those energy reserves. Yeah.
One of my brothers, he's a nurse practitioner, and he just poo-poos it all. Oh no, Western medicine knows it all. And that's just mumbo jumbo. But it's not, and I remember one time I went to this neurologist. It was during the time when I went to this Qigong guy. It was in Manchester. And when I went the first time, I was like this, I was hobbling into the thing. And when I went to the next appointment, I was like, hello, and walking like this. And he went, wow, what happened to you? What happened to you? And I told him this experience with the Qigong guy.
Yeah.
And this doctor was so open. And he said, Western medicine has a lot. We have a lot. He said, but there is so much we can learn from Western philosophies. He said, they've been practicing this stuff for thousands and thousands of years. And he said, for us just to poo-poo it, he said, that's like throwing the baby out the bathwater. And he said, and he was a professor at the university there in Manchester teaching medical students. And he asked me, will you come on stage and talk to my medical students about your experience? Which I did. But they wheeled me in a bed. And I don't know why, but maybe it was like, this is this week's patient or something. And they wheeled me in on this bed. And one of the students that was wheeling me in, after this is a little funny story, one of the students that was wheeling me in, he said to me, oh, I want you to play a joke on the professor. And when he asks you this question, do this silly answer to make him look foolish or something. But I thought, no, this professor has been so kind to me and so kind to his students. He's very open. So what I did was I reversed it and I made the joke about the student.
Nice.
And his face was like so, and later on, and he had to wheel me off the stage again. And I says, now you know what it feels like. I says, you wanted me to do that to the professor. I said, that wasn't kind.
Yeah.
So
nice.
I don't think he
That's
would do
great to
something
hear
like
about
that
somebody
again.
being so open. I love that because the Eastern and the Western medicine works really well together if you know how to combine them, when to use which one.
So, my darling, we're running out of time again. And is there any last words that you would like to give our listeners?
I would just say that I want women to know that there are alternatives and there are simple, practical things you can do at home to get on the right track and help reduce menopausal symptoms and have an easier time. And to join Pauline and to join me online, in my private Facebook group, join the conversation. Don't suffer alone. Jump in and get this information because it's available. And I do even have a free guide that I created for the listeners if they're interested, to just simple ways you can get started at home. And I am always available to answer questions too, if you need to know more about where to go or who to talk to or how to get started. But know that there are alternatives that really, really work. Natural alternatives that really, really work.
So where can people get this freebie thing?
The one that there's a couple of free downloads on my website. There's a menopause toolkit and I have a free Facebook group.
Actually, I don't know if we have your... Oh, yes, I read out your website. It's LaVoie, LAC.com. So I'm going to spell that out. DANALAVOIE.LAC.com. But I will put it in the notes.
Perfect. And then there's this other one, the guide that I created is actually not on my website, but it's for whoever's listening. If you go to bit.ly, bit.ly/H hormone -F foundation. So bit.ly/hormone -foundation with a capital H and a capital F. Maybe we could put that in the notes
I'll
too.
put that in the notes, okay. Does it have to be a capital and then small letters, or can it be all capitals?
Yeah, it's capital H and then small O-R, small the rest of the word, hormone, and then just the capital F and then small foundation.
Okay. And your Facebook group, what is that called?
That is called Menopause Basics. And you can get to it by going to menopausebasicsgroup.com. We'll take you directly there. And that's just all one word, no capitals.
I am writing it down as we speak. Okay. Oh, and I have a personal question to ask you.
Yeah.
My biggest symptom, and even now I'm postmenopausal, is memory loss. Is there some kind of Chinese herb that would help with memory loss?
Yeah. There's two ways you can look at memory loss. One is as a sign of aging. So all the Chinese medicine that's geared towards decreasing signs of aging, like what I've been talking about, are going to help. But there are also specific things you can take for memory loss. If you go to my website and go to the shop, there's a product you might want to look at called Diamond Mind, and it comes in capsules and a tincture. And it's a wonderful group of anti-aging herbs. They're all adaptogenic, so they're very safe. And they are specifically chosen because they are particularly good for the mind and increasing energy to the brain. And I have had a lot of clients who say, you know, when I remember to take that every morning, I feel so much like I used to 10 years ago. Yeah. So
Wonderful.
It's a really nice formula.
Well, I will be ordering some of those.
Awesome.
If I remember to order
If you
them.
remember. Write it down.
I've got it written here. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Is there any last words?
Any last words? I would just say, like I said, I think the biggest thing is if you get overwhelmed, if you get confused, if you get, depressed. I had an experience a few months ago. I'm going to be 49 in a couple of months. And a few months ago, I had my first perimenopausal symptoms, and it was really, really intense. I wasn't expecting it. And I just started having these mood swings that were just so, I just woke up one day and I was yelling and yelling at people. I was yelling at people on the road. This isn't something that I do, right? At the end of the day, I saw my husband and he said, "How was your day?" And I opened my mouth to tell him about it, and I just started crying and I couldn't stop. And I'm thinking, what is going on? I've never felt this way in my life. Nothing happened recently to set this off. And then a couple of days later, I got my period. And I never had severe PMS either. And I thought, this was perimenopausal PMS, mood swings. That's what it was. Especially I knew for sure when it happened the next month. That was when I really put it together. And I thought, okay, my hormones are starting to change. And the thing is, if I hadn't known that that's what it was, if I hadn't known, that was just my hormones starting to change, that was perimenopause, I would have been so scared. And I knew what to do about it. I changed the herbs I was taking. By the next month, it was about 50%. By the month after that, it was just about gone. And so I thought, this is cool. I know that I can handle the symptoms that come up with herbs and acupuncture and all that. But if I hadn't known that, if I hadn't known it was hormones causing it, and I hadn't known there was something I could do about it, I would have been so afraid. I would have thought, how can I keep working? How can I keep my relationships going? How can I function? How can I keep my life going? Perimenopause can last for 10 years. I thought I would have been so scared. And I don't want women to feel that way. I want them to know, okay, I can go, to this place. I can start learning what to do. Whether it's me or Pauline, there's some good resources available now. Natural, healthy, simple things that you can do. Learn how to use what's available to ease your way through menopause. Yes, you might get a little warm now and then. Yes, you might have a little something here and there. But the really extreme symptoms should be pretty manageable. And I want women to know that. Come out looking for that information and talking to each other about it, not just suffering in silence, not knowing that they have any options.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome.
So ladies, there you have it. Don't suffer in silence, like I'm saying every week. Don't suffer in silence. If you have any questions, write to me at pauline@menopausemorph.com. If you've enjoyed listening to this, write a review. If you don't write a review, you're going to get another hot flash. No, okay, share the love, ladies. It's out there. And I bet you some guys are listening to this because it's like, as you said, you get some mood swings. And I get men contacting me and saying, who is this witch that's in my bed? It's not the woman I married. So if you're listening, write a review. Thank you. Write a question. Ask, asking you shall receive, knocking it shall be opened unto you. So there we go. And until next week, thank you very much, Dana, for coming. And we'll see you next week, folks. Bye for now.
Thanks again, Polly.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Menopause Morph, your time to change. If you've enjoyed the program, be sure to subscribe to the next one and please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help us spread the message about thriving through the menopause. To get a free ebook, more menopausal resources, and to connect with Pauline, please visit www.menopausemorph.com.